So inflation has peaked. That's what they keep telling us, right? It's the new transitory. It's that talking point that all the guys at the Fed and the talking heads on CNBC like to repeat over and over again, enough that we start to believe them. Well, transitory was BS, and inflation has peaked is also BS. And there's any number of reasons why inflation has not yet peaked, even though we just saw a slightly lower inflation number this morning. Emphasis slightly. It was supposed to be a lot lower than it was. We're going to talk all about that in a second, but right now I'm on vacation, and that means Jack is doing yard work. I am chopping out this dang ornamental grass that the previous homeowners here planted, and I hate this stuff. I've been staring at it for years. I just can't wait to get rid of it. So I will be back in a minute. This work sucks. All right, pull up a bucket. I'll tell you what, if I drop dead of a heart attack, do me a favor, everybody. Don't let Gigi sell my silver for what I told her I paid for it. So let's talk about this inflation has peaked nonsense. This new transitory, right? No, inflation hasn't peaked, all right? Inflation did come down a little bit today. It was 8.5% last month. This month it rose 8.3%, all right? That is disinflationary, but that is not deflation, okay? A lot of people are saying, oh, inflation hasn't gone down, the prices are still going up. Well, when inflation lowers, that doesn't mean prices go down. That means prices go up slower, all right? Inflation is a rate of change. And a lot of people kind of get lost on that one little nitpick, okay? When you see a lower inflation reading, that doesn't mean prices went down. Folks, prices are not going down, not anytime soon. It is going to take some serious economic mayhem for prices to go down. And though that may be coming in the months ahead, it isn't here yet, all right? So prices are going to keep going up. Now, there's a couple of reasons why I don't think inflation has peaked, regardless of what CNBC tells you, regardless of what whoever at the White House or the press secretary or whatever tells you. No, inflation hasn't peaked, and there's a couple of reasons, all right? First of all, let's focus on the short-term stuff, all right? Short-term reasons inflation is going higher. Number one is China. Nothing is getting out of China right now. There's a great channel called Sage News Live. If you guys follow that, he tracks logistics issues, trucking, shipping, rail very closely. And the stuff he's been talking about, how the world's shipping fleet is just stuck in China. Nothing's getting loaded, nothing's getting shipped out, all right? That's going to take time to filter through to the U.S. because right now, as things get bought off the shelves, especially durable goods, you know, stuff made in China, it's not getting replaced. There's nothing new heading this way. So once this current inventory drops, that's it. There's nothing else to take its place. Well, that means shortages getting worse. That means prices going higher. All right, so this nonsense in China, that's one reason why inflation is going higher still. Another reason inflation is going higher is energy, okay? We have declining energy production. We're pretty much maxed out right now. Even with that 4 million barrels a day of oil that has been released by Jeff Borgen, as the economic ninja would say, from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, even with that oil being dumped on the open market, the price of gasoline isn't going down. Gasoline's actually at an all-time high right now. It's because of our refining capacity here in the States. We haven't built a new refinery in the United States in decades, all right? The time to build a new refinery isn't now. It wasn't last year. It wasn't 10 years ago. It was 25 years ago was the time to start building new refineries. Well, we can't get new refineries built in this country. Are you kidding? We can't even get a pipeline built in this country, let alone a refinery. So that means gasoline and diesel is not going to be getting any better soon. And speaking of diesel, my God, diesel is the lifeblood of our economy. It powers all our big rig trucks. It powers our farm equipment. It powers backup generators at hospitals. And have you seen what the price of diesel has done recently? It's another reason why inflation is not going to come down anytime soon. And these are just the short-term things. Let's think about a little bit more medium-term. Food shortages. We all know there's a food shortage coming. People have no idea just how bad this food shortage is coming. But with the fertilizer situation that we've been talking about on this channel since as early as October, still getting worse and worse by the day. Fertilizer prices are still going up. Now we have a late planting season in the U.S. We have food exporting countries are withholding their exports to try to suppress prices within their own borders. All these things are combining. We have massive, massive food inflation on the horizon, folks, and there's still nothing being done about it. You know, Janet Yellen is convening bankers and, you know, all these IMF and all these money printers together to talk about how to fix the food crisis. Well, you can't print food. Food needs to be grown, and that takes time, it takes seasons, it takes investment, and none of that investment is being done right now. All right, our farmers are late getting the planting in the ground because we've had bad weather, and those farmers are getting squeezed by the higher diesel prices, by the higher fertilizer prices. So we've got massive food inflation on the horizon also. Now, these are just short and medium term things that are going to cause inflation to go up a little bit. But the one big thing that I want to talk about is the Federal Reserve, okay? Because there is some chaos on the horizon in the stock market and in the housing market. We're already seeing the early innings of that now with this increase in volatility in stocks, with these 1,000-point intraday swings in the market, 1,000-point down days, 1,000-point up one day, down the next, another 1,000. Trouble in the crypto markets and whispers of a liquidity crisis are now starting. This all means that there's economic mayhem on the horizon. And what do you think the central bankers are going to do during the next banking crisis? They're going to do the same thing they did during the last banking crisis, and the crisis before that, and the crisis before that. They're going to lower interest rates, and they're going to print money. Quantitative easing. All right, all things that are going to be very inflationary. But the difference this time is they're going to be doing these things, the lowering the interest rates and the printing of the money. They're going to be doing this when inflation is already around 8 to 10%, if you believe the government statistics. Really, it's closer to 20% if you go by what you see on shadowstats.com. And when that mayhem starts in the economy, when you see housing prices start to crater, when you see stock prices start to crash, when you see hedge funds going under and banks talking about how they need a bailout, when all that starts, that's when they're going to turn the money printers back on. They know it's going to happen, all right? What they're doing now with these rate hikes is just really, it's political grandstanding. It's so they can convince the public that they care about inflation. They don't. They actually want inflation. It makes them richer and it makes you poorer. But when the economic crisis starts, that's when they turn the money printer back on. And that's when we will long for the days of 8.3% CPI readings, because we will be deep into double digits when that happens. So no Jim Cramer, no Jen Psaki, no Jeff Borgen. Inflation has not peaked, all right? We took a little bit of a dip in April from 8.5% to 8.3%. By the way, that means prices are still going up. It doesn't mean prices went down. So we are a long way from seeing a peak in inflation. So tune these guys out when they start telling you inflation, the worst is behind us, and when people say we're optimistic and it's time to pile back into stocks and the market is going higher. Tune that noise out, because it is BS, folks. Inflation is here to stay. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And if you want to know a little bit more about what I think is going to trigger this next big crisis in the banks, you can check out this video that I did about the everything squeeze and about how banks have been caught massively short commodities, and they're already talking about a bailout. Till next time, live small and dream big.